Hey everyone, quick video because I'm talking about a very time-sensitive subject. Recently, Blizzard has been slowly teasing the next expansion with a collection of short animations, each depicting a different villainous character. So far, the Old Gods Fortune Teller, King Togwaggle, and Hagatha have been revealed, while the fourth slot is so obviously Dr. Boom that it's laughable. But there's one final chair and one final card. A fifth character is coming. Who is it? Today, I will argue that there is only one reasonable answer. Rafaam, the Supreme Archaeologist. Don't believe me? You should, and here's why. First up, established pattern. Every character so far revealed has been a Hearthstone original character, portrayed in a villainous role. While several expansions have featured characters from World of Warcraft, others instead include new ones. Kel'Thuzad, Ragnaros, Nefarian, and the Lich King, as iconic as they are in their respective roles, all originated from WoW, whereas Hagatha, King Togwaggle, and the Fortune Teller do not. Dr. Boom is the exception to this, but considering his infamy from Goblins vs. Gnomes, the Boomsday Project completely rebooting his character, and the fact that he was a minor NPC at best in the MMO, it's fair to say he's earned a place as iconic Hearthstone. So to reiterate, every character so far on the villains team is a Hearthstone original villain, more or less, meaning it'd be a huge deviation to move away from that. Meanwhile, of all the original cards and characters that the game has presented since its beginning, only one remaining is unequivocally villainous, Rafaam. You could argue Aya, Blackpaw, or Patches the Pirates, but they aren't really characters. Rafaam, meanwhile, has stolen our deck. Definitely a dastardly dude to have on the team. Secondly, clues point to Rafaam being the mastermind. Okay, watch the last teaser as the fortune teller reveals the next team member.
Just one more who's coming, the last one I summon.
Just one more who's coming, the last one I summon. But there's clearly a final card there, so why isn't she summoning that one? Well, listen to the very first line in the first teaser.
One night I was called on to scry.
One night I was called on to scry. Who called her to do this? You could argue an old god, but I present a counter-hypothesis. This villain has a boss, and that boss is directing her. This would explain why she's not summoning the final team member, he's already there. However, there's more. For Kobolds and Catacombs as well as the Boomsday Project, comics were released that told stories about King Togwaggle and Dr. Boom respectively. Starting with Boom, the Doctor fights a robot version of himself to win back the heart of a she-goblin he loves. Yeah, the plot's a little weird, but strangely entertaining. Anyways, the series ends with Boom's love interest inviting him to join her and her new boss in a new scheme. Coincidence? I think not. This detail does two things. One, it reinforces the idea that there's someone influencing everything from the shadows. And two, it validates these comics as canon. Think about it. They released this comic showing Boom was going to join the team, and now he's joining a team. That's a shared universe right there. With these two ideas in mind, let's look at the Kobolds comic. It's only there for one panel, but we see Togwaggle get his magic crown that grants him his abilities. And who is it that gives him this crown? None other than Rafaam! So the fortune teller has a secret boss who orchestrated this whole team, including Togwaggle, who Rafaam gave power. The writing on the walls is clear. Alright, that's the extent of logos in my argument. Time for pathos. Final point. Rafaam being the final member is the best choice Blizzard could make. There are plenty of options for the final villain. The previously mentioned Aya, Blackpaw, and Patches, Nefarian, Kel'Thuzad, but to be frank, none of them quite fit the bill perfectly. Why bring in a World of Warcraft character at the end but still have Hagatha on the team instead of Magatha? Nobody likes Hagatha! The fortune teller is getting better ratings and we don't even know her name! And why include someone as one-dimensional as one of the gadgets and crime bosses? It's also possible that this is a new character, but then why save them for last? Why go, oh look at all these old characters from the past, and as their final member and leader, Flickswick on Mesobrites, the world's greatest criminal masterminds! That sounds like a terrible decision. And finally, some have pitched the idea that the final villain is you, the player, working alongside the villains to help them in their scheme. Except there's one problem with that. This isn't an episode of Dora the Explorer! This is fucking Hearthstone! So let me paint you a different picture. A clever ethereal thief, wandering from world to world collecting artifacts, attempts to battle with a league of explorers. However, he is vanquished by an adventurer who happened to be assisting the league. But the thief is resourceful and clever. He plots revenge, but not directly. He gifts a kobold a magical crown and instructs him to collect treasures on his behalf. Then he finds and recruits the greatest and strongest villains in Azeroth to unite and complete his schemes. That story sounds awesome! Why wouldn't Blizzard do that? Why would Blizzard throw away this perfectly good character with perfectly good backstory and perfectly good foreshadowing? The answer is clear, ladies and gentlemen. They wouldn't. There's only one being who is the correct choice to join this League of Villains.
Rafaam, the Supreme Archaeologist!
Final point, I woke up this morning and a leaker revealed that I was completely correct. I'm honestly more annoyed than satisfied.